It's no secret that many animals pose a danger to humans. When we talk about such dangerous animals, then of course we think about adults. But some baby animals can also pose a threat to us. Which ones exactly? And why should we be wary of them? You'll find it out in this episode. Let's go! Look at this baby. It has spines all over its body and it's bloated. Those of you in the know have already figured it out. It's a pufferfish. More specifically, it's a baby pufferfish. In fact, pufferfish is not a particular species, but a whole family of fish that are common around the globe. Many people think that pufferfish can only be found in the seas and oceans, but this is not true. Not all pufferfish like seawater. Some species live in freshwater and are found from South America and Africa to Southeast Asia. It's because of Southeast Asia that pufferfish have gained their popularity, as they're caught in local waters and then shipped to Japan, where they're used to make a signature dish called fugu. Improperly cooked dish can kill a person because pufferfish are toxic, and this also applies to their babies. These fish contain tetrodotoxin, which is the most powerful natural nerve agent poison. When it enters the digestive tract, it causes pain, convulsions, and is usually fatal. So don't underestimate even small pufferfish. They too can lead to poisoning. Now, let's take a look at this turtle. This baby turtle looks very dangerous, all covered with some kind of spikes, and even its claws look powerful. But a baby turtle doesn't have to look like this to be dangerous. It's enough for it to have quite ordinary shell, but at the same time, monstrously powerful jaws, like the alligator snapping turtle. It was named so for a reason. Firstly, it has ridges on its shell that resemble the rough and rigid skin of an alligator. And secondly, in terms of bite force, it may well compete with the alligator. It bites some objects in half in an instant without even making an effort. The size of a turtle also plays a big role. These reptiles can grow up to 5 feet in length and weigh 132 pounds. And according to some reports, some turtles of this species can weigh up to 400 pounds. The alligator snapping turtle cannot be called quite reckless. When it's picked up, it usually doesn't bite, but only opens its terrifying mouth wide and spews a stream of liquid. However, you should not test the patience of the turtle because when irritated, it can bite very hard and painfully. Even the babies of the species have powerful jaws. They may well cause injury if they're angered, so it's better to stay away from them. Northern fulmar. That's the name of our next guest, a bird from the Procellaridae family. Northern fulmars are seabirds that nest on rocks and live in the North Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, in the Arctic Ocean, and the waters of Antarctica. Female northern fulmars lay one egg at a time, incubate them for a couple of months, after which the chick hatches. In the very first days of its life, it's quite harmless, like many other baby animals, but it learns very quickly how to stand up for itself. All northern fulmars, including chicks, do not like excessive attention and have a negative attitude towards people. If you approach a northern fulmar, it'll get angry and vomit on the offender with its gastric juice. The northern fulmar can literally spit it at the enemy, and it does it at a hefty distance. Why is it dangerous? Well, for example, a person may not know about such a superpower of chicks and try to get close to them. When the chick attacks them with its juice, the person may get scared, jump back sharply, stumble, and fall off a high cliff. In such a scenario, the northern fulmar chick could very well be described as deadly to a human, but I'm exaggerating, of course. If a person climbs a cliff to the birds, they must know exactly what kind of birds they are, so tourists and scientists are certainly prepared for such stomach gifts of northern fulmars. Being spit on by gastric juice is unpleasant, but it's still bearable. It's worse when they spit venom at you. And of course, venomous snakes do it. These are some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet in general, and their babies are no exception. Yes, baby snakes look creepy enough, but still not as creepy as their parents. After all, size matters, and it's much creepier to come across a huge cobra than its tiny snakelet. But not many people are aware of the fact that baby snakes have venom from day one. Scientists say it's just as potent as that of their parents. Some believe that baby snakes are even more dangerous than their parents. The explanation is that adult snakes do not spit venom left and right. They know what venom is, understand that they need it in order to get food, and use it only during the hunt and self-defense, in small doses to save supply surprise at that. Baby snakes have not yet learned this, so for one attack, they can give the offender a full dose of venom. This sounds logical, but scientists believe that this is a myth. In fact, baby snakes learn to control venom from a very early age, and like adult creeping creatures, do not spit venom at everything and do not spend the entire supply in one bite. Nevertheless, don't forget that their venom is also extremely powerful and dangerous, so even baby snakes are worth staying away from. Golden poison frog. The situation with these creatures is about the same as with venomous snakes. However, it's much more difficult to distinguish the baby from the adult. If, in the case of snakes, everything is visually clear at once, then here there may be difficulties, because even adult golden poison frogs are only a couple of centimeters long. But this doesn't prevent them from posing a great threat to humans, as well as to a huge number of animals, because they are incredibly poisonous. These are some of the most poisonous frogs and vertebrates of the planet in general. The poison of the golden poison frog, as well as all poison dart frogs, the family they belong to, is right on the skin of the animal. Therefore, the golden poison frog and other poison dart frogs do not even need to bite. It's enough for a person to take a frog in their hands and it'll poison them through their skin. Its poison is insanely powerful, so touching it may well be fatal. Poison dart frogs get their poison through food, eating venomous ants, mites, and various insects. When the baby of the golden poison frog begins to keep such a diet, it becomes no less dangerous than its parents. It happens quickly enough. After a couple of weeks, the tadpoles start leading a terrestrial way of life and eating venomous critters. By the way, the color of the frog directly depends on the diet. The bright colors of poison dart frogs are a direct consequence of their diet, and if you make them keep to another diet, they'll become black. Cane toad. Here is a distant relative of the brightly colored frogs. They live, by the way, in the same habitat in South and Central America. Also, these toads can be found in Australia. Unlike the tiny golden poison frogs and other poison dart frogs, the cane toad is very large. The largest individual on record weighed over 5.5 pounds. They're obviously different in terms of size, but there's a similarity between them. These toads are also toxic, and they don't need to feed on something to be toxic. They have poison almost always and from a very young age. That's the danger of baby cane toads. First of all, they're dangerous for animals. The cane toad lays eggs in the water where they turn into tadpoles. A female can lay up to 25,000 eggs at a time. You can imagine what the concentration of tadpoles in the water can be, especially in a small body of water. Inattentive animals can drink water from a pond with the tadpoles and then they're done. Even a single tadpole is poisonous enough to finish off any creature. Now imagine that an animal suffering from thirst accidentally swallowed several dozen tadpoles at once. Sometimes even crocodiles fall victim to their thirst. Australian dingoes are also among the victims. For some reason, baby cane toads are dangerous mainly for the Australian fauna. In America, the number of such cases is less. In this regard, the Department of Environment and Conservation of Western Australia, in cooperation with the University of Sydney, even created special baits to teach local Australian animals not to eat these toads and their tadpoles. Honey badger. While animals in Australia are afraid of poisonous toads, animals in Africa and Asia are afraid of these animals. The honey badger is one of the most famous creatures in the world. It gained its popularity due to its incredible features and character. Honey badgers are often called the most fearless animals on the planet, and it's hard to argue with this. The badger's small, it weighs about 22 pounds, and it's only about 20 inches long, but this doesn't prevent it from rushing at lions, fighting with several leopards at once, killing venomous snakes and pythons, snacking on tarantulas and scorpions, and simply terrorize everyone around. Incredibly tough skin, sharp fangs and claws, agility, and immunity to many venoms make the honey badger practically unkillable. And what about their cubs? They're cute and harmless in the first few days of life, but they grow up very quickly and become small copies of their parents. Literally, from an early age, they're fearless and powerful. These young badgers mark the territory around them, chase animals, and have an unbridled appetite. A young honey badger will eat anyone and anything: mammals, birds, reptiles, insects, larvae, plants, fruit, roots, and so on. From a very young age, the honey badger needs to confirm and defend the title of the most fearless animal on the planet, and it does it well. And now I'll show you some incredible battles between pets and predators. Let's start with the footage taken by the surveillance camera. There was a battle between a cat and a coyote on the front porch. This occurred at a time when coyotes have overrun many Texas suburbs. Cat is clearly inferior to the wild predator in size, but it has no intention of giving up. It realizes that engaging in direct combat is not an option, so it tries to outsmart the coyote and hides. The coyote struggles to get it, and when it retreats itself, the cat comes out and tries to scare the coyote, but it's no use. Eventually, the coyote began to push harder and harder, and it seemed as if it was about to massacre the cat. That's right, it could happen at any moment. Then the pet tried to hide higher up and climbed up the beam under the canopy. Coyotes can't climb, so the cat's safe there. But for how long? After all, there's nothing to stand on. The cat can only hold on and rely on the strength of its paws and sharp claws. Fortunately, the furball has enough strength. It lasted about a minute and then collapsed without strength. By then, the coyote was already gone. Coyotes are dangerous animals, but sometimes cats themselves give them a hard time. For example, this coyote snuck into a residential neighborhood, and the cat decided not to wait for the predator to hurt someone. It ran out at it abruptly and chased the dangerous beast away. Next, we have another dangerous member of the Canidae family, the cunning fox. It sneaked into the territory of the house where the cat was peacefully walking around. Of course, at the sight of the fox, it immediately went into fighting mode, arched its back to look bigger, and began to watch the enemy closely. This cat understands that it'll be difficult to fight the fox, so it decided to defeat it by cunning. As soon as the predator tries to attack, the cat itself lunges and scares the opponent. The latter has to retreat and start all over again. But the fox isn't stupid. It understands that the cat is just bluffing, so it doesn't stop and doesn't see the cat as a particular threat. The cat understands this too, so at the end, it decides to run away. It manages to get away from the fox, or rather from two foxes at once. As it turns out, there was a second predator nearby the whole time. Cats confront foxes and coyotes, and dogs confront lions. Sounds crazy, but see it for yourself. A dog came to the place where a lioness and a lion were resting. The big cats woke up and decided to chase the intruder away, but the dog started barking and attacking the predators. They jumped up from surprise. The dog fearlessly started to attack the lioness and the lion. After a short pause, it attacked the animals again. This time it hit the lion particularly hard, which even had to back away from such a defiant opponent. The dog eventually left, and the lion still didn't understand what just happened and how it was even possible. And here's a more fair confrontation: a dog against a lioness. First, the lioness caught up with the dog and knocked it down, but didn't finish it off. The dog recovered a little and decided to take its revenge. It started to attack the lioness, and the lioness had to retreat under such an onslaught. The dog even tried to bite the lioness, but was hit by the lioness's paw. That's it. The dog took revenge on the lioness, and even the second lioness came up, so now it's definitely necessary to leave. And here's a more brazen dog. It's biting the tiger. The dog got a good grip on the spotted cat and only let it go after it hit it with its paws. Then the lion got it, and the dog took hold of the tiger again. The lion took advantage of that and pawed the tiger from behind. What an unusual situation. But really, it's not that simple. This dog is the tiger's adoptive parent that raised it. The tiger perceives it as its mother, so there's no way it would hurt the dog. And this careless dog walked by the tiger, pissed it off, and it dealt with the dog in just a couple of seconds. Okay, let's not talk about sad things. Let's take a look at the next interesting showdown. Here, a northern goshawk swoops down on a chicken and grabs it. The feathers are literally flying in all directions, and the chicken's about to die. But the rooster comes to the rescue and tries to distract the goshawk. But the bird of prey is too strong. The chicken and the rooster cannot cope with it. Fortunately for them, a goat comes to the rescue. It helped chase away the cheeky goshawk, and it soon flew away. The goat and the rooster did a great job, but don't worry about the chicken. It survived and suffered only minor injuries. It might seem that in the last battle, it was the goat that did everything right, and without it, the birds would have been killed. I don't know. The following clip shows that domestic birds can deal with a predator themselves. A chicken and a rooster are walking in a small pen. Suddenly, a hawk arrives. It takes advantage of the moment and attacks the chicken while the rooster's not around. But the rooster hears everything. It rushes in, defends the chicken, and quickly deals with the hawk. The hawk barely survived the onslaught and flew out of the territory in a hurry. Dogs are known for their incredible hearing. These creatures can hear the slightest rustle and react to it. That makes this video all the more amazing. A dog is sleeping, and a leopard sneaks up on it. It's just incredible how quietly and carefully the big cat did it. It cautiously walked up to the dog on soft paws and stood right beside it. The dog didn't hear it and couldn't smell it. The leopard stood near the dog for a full 3 minutes. It examined its prey for a long time, and as soon as the dog woke up, it instantly attacked it. The leopard grabbed the dog very tightly and wasn't going to let it go. Soon the animals fell down, and the owner of the dog ran out because of the noise. As he said, the dog survived, even though it was injured. I suggested the dog be rehabilitated. Let this creature avenge its congener. This limping dog waddles straight to the hikers from somewhere, then decides to lie down on the road and rest. Suddenly, a leopard flies out of the bushes at it, but the dog's not confused. It reacted quickly and frightened the leopard with a loud bark. The big cat even spread its paws in bewilderment. The dog told it what it thought of it, and the leopard didn't want to attack at all. In the end, I even felt sorry for the leopard. In this footage, we see a horse and a foal. The ungulates are standing somewhere in a field minding their own business, not even knowing that they're already being hunted. Not far away is the Persian leopard, the largest leopard subspecies from West Asia. It has its eye on the foal, and so it takes advantage of the moment and tries to attack the baby. It knocks the foal down, but the horse immediately covers it with itself and kicks the big cat. The leopard had to run away to avoid being hit a second time. In addition, there was another horse nearby, so it wasn't safe to stay there. Horses in general are much braver and more dangerous than many might think. They can fight not only a leopard, but also an alligator. See for yourself. We see several horses standing near the alligator. The reptile just lies there and is not going to attack anyone, but one of the horses decides to chase the dangerous guest away. The black horse approaches the alligator and tries to stomp on it. The first attack is unsuccessful, but on the second time, the horse hits the alligator with its hooves, hitting it right on its head. The gator didn't have time to defend itself properly, though it tried to bite the horse. Soon the reptile crawled away from such a violent horse. Horses what? Come on, alligators are even afraid of cats. And not big ones like jaguars, but regular pets. Look at this daredevil. This alligator just wanted to eat meat, but the little cheeky predator got in its way. At first, the cat let the alligator eat some, but then it seemed to it that the reptile had eaten too much meat already. The cat wants some too. So it began fearlessly hitting the alligator with its paw and chasing it away. Surprisingly, it worked, and the alligator decided to hide in the water. Here's a similar situation, only there's no meat. The alligator simply crawled out onto dry land where the cat was waiting for it. The furball didn't like the fact that some intruder was claiming its land, and it fearlessly started chasing it back into the water. The cat wasn't going to retreat and was ready to fight, but the alligator decided not to get involved and simply walked away into the water. Suddenly, another alligator appeared, but the cat chased it away as well, pawing it. House cats are really fearless. Alligators aren't the limit, for they can fight even a bear. In this footage, a curious bear approaches the steps where the cat was sitting. Sensing the stranger, the cat barked at it, scaring the bear off. It tried to examine the cat better, but the furball swung its paw sharply and almost hit the bear. Of course, it immediately got away from such a fluffy threat. And here's a more direct confrontation. A bear had snuck into the cat's territory, and the pet decided to chase it away. When the bear ran toward the cat and hid behind a tree, the cat went on the attack and chased the poor fellow up a tree. The bear had to climb high to avoid being hit by the cat. The bear got down from the tree and the video ended. It's unknown how the confrontation ended, so I suggest you share your thoughts in the comments. And finally, let's look at birds again. We see a chicken and its family. They're quietly living their lives when suddenly a crow flies in. Although crows are scavengers, on occasion they hunt and claim chicks of various birds. The mother chicken could not allow the crow to harm its babies, so it started a fight. Although the chicken is considered a weaker and sillier bird than the crow, the bird did just fine. The chicken exhausted the crow, moved the fight to the ground, and began to peck its opponent. Periodically, the crow got up, flew to the fence, and tried to attack again, but was repulsed every time. As a result, it completely lost the battle and did not get the desired chicks. In the end, it calmed down and even stayed in the pen with the chicken. Perhaps they even became friends. And let's finish the episode with birds. Keep watching and you'll find out what bird even lions are afraid of. Crowned eagle. Our first guest, the crowned eagle, lives in dense forests, including the heart of the African jungle, as well as on forested slopes. It's found up to 10,000 feet above sea level and sometimes chooses savannas and eucalyptus plantations for its habitat. This bird can make nests in many habitats, even in suburban areas, if there's plenty of food and flora necessary for hunting, building, and improving its nests. But why is it not afraid of anyone in that case? Why is it not afraid of people, for example, if we're talking about the suburbs, or dangerous predators like lions? The thing is that more than 15 pounds of muscle and wingspan of about 6.5 feet give the crowned eagle an incredible confidence in itself and its actions. Okay, to be honest, it's not all that rosy and unequivocal. It can't single-handedly defeat predatory wildcats or something like them. The eagle itself predominantly hunts small animals, monkeys, meerkats, and various birds. And now you have the question, why is it that when this bird is seen in the sky by lions, they prefer not to hunt and wait it out? It's all about the crowned eagle's teamwork. If a bird sees some sweet target, it calls its congeners for help, and already together they can easily deal with almost any problem, even with a lion, a leopard, or other dangerous hunters. Southern cassowary. The next bird I'm going to talk about is in Australia. Indeed, where, if not there, can the most dangerous bird of our time live? It's important to note right away, the southern cassowary is considered a bird mostly formally. In fact, it cannot fly. It would be a little strange if a 180-pound, 5-foot giant could also hover in the air, don't you think? Although maybe that's what they do and people just haven't seen it yet. The southern cassowary is a rather secretive creature that doesn't like to tell anyone about its leisure time and interests. It prefers to live alone and avoid contact with others. In some languages, the creature is known as the casque cassowary. This beautiful bird was named so because of something like a casque on its head. Scientists still don't fully understand what it is and why this bird needs it, but they have made a couple or 3 interesting assumptions. For example, some believe that the cassowary needs the casque to pick up low-frequency sounds generated by other members of the species. In short, they believe that the casque is a kind of antenna for communicating with congeners. There's also an opinion that the casque on the head of the cassowary performs a literal role, being an additional protection when attacking or defending. It may also help in the choosing of females. Write in the comments, which version do you like the most? Or share your own version for the reason of the existence of this casque. In the meantime, I'll move on to the danger the bird poses. It's not difficult to guess that, because of such a large size, the southern cassowary should have giant legs. With their help, it not only runs superbly, reaching speeds of 30 miles per hour, but can also kick anyone around it. Usually, a fight against a cassowary ends after one kick and the bird wins by knockout. The cassowary claws, reaching 4 to 5 inches in length, help in this. Common ostrich. Here's another equally dangerous bird that can't fly. At first glance, it may seem that the inability to fly is bad luck and deprivation on the part of nature, but it's not so. It's for this reason that the ostrich was once forced to train and develop its legs. All this led to the fact that the ostrich became a real monster, up to 8.8 feet tall, weighing more than 330 pounds, from which there is no escape. No other bird alive today can boast of such impressive size. What else is amazing about the ostrich is its incredibly keen eyesight. Having such eyesight, it's very difficult for the ostrich to miss the impending danger, which is what different herbivores take advantage of. They settle next to the ostriches and think they're safe that way. The giant bird's not against it. It believes that there's nothing wrong with it. On the contrary, if suddenly a predator sneaks up and manages to attack, the herbivores will be a living shield for the ostrich and it'll have time to escape. Not every aggressor will be able to run after an ostrich at a speed of more than 43 miles per hour, which means it'll be quite easy to get away from the attack. Although maybe it's running away from predators for nothing at all. In my opinion, an ostrich can hunt anything. Have you ever seen its huge and strong claws? With the help of such a weapon, the bird can cause serious injuries or even kill a young lion. Perhaps if it had not had a toothless beak, it'd be happy to feed on large animals. In the meantime, it has to eat only grains, seeds, fruits, and lizards. Pitahui. Pitahui are the following feathered creatures that I'm going to talk about. We've long been accustomed to the fact that in the wild there are dangerous and venomous snakes, venomous spiders, and so on. Do you know what I mean, right? It turns out that along with them, there are also poisonous birds. Just those very Pitahui. By the way, do you know how people found out that these birds were endowed with a toxin? In 1989, a scientist was observing Pitahui and helped it out of the trap in the process. It scratched him in gratitude. The man put his lips to the wound and felt them almost instantly numb. The concentration of the poison wasn't enough to cause serious harm to the man, which meant that the scientist was able to convey this information to the world. As it turned out later, he was very lucky because the Pitahui toxin is very similar in its composition to the poison of dart frogs, considered one of the most poisonous creatures on the planet. Like dart frogs, these birds feed on poisonous bugs. But why do birds need poison in the first place? Well, it's probably a special defense mechanism against predators, natural enemies, and, of course, humans. The barred owl is one of the most common and numerous owls in North America. The total population is estimated at 600,000 individuals. There's also the so-called spotted owl, but the barred owl is successfully displacing it from its territory. This is due to its aggressive temperament and large size. But the most interesting thing, in my opinion, is the way these birds communicate. For example, they make a series of extraordinary loud noises during the mating season. It resembles unstrained and insane laughter. In addition to laughter, barrel owls also like to communicate with their congeners in cute and unusual phrases. They also make sounds reminiscent of hooting with a rising intonation or cat cries. Feline cries are usually heard when mating or hunting large prey. Visual signals play an important role in communication between birds. They can express their emotions with the help of head turns, different body positions, and wings. Emu. Emus are massive birds with a clumsy appearance that cannot fly. And to be honest, they don't walk properly either. They shake and bounce all the way around. In addition, not only do they not benefit any other people, but they've also harmed them not once in their long history. In 1932, almost all of Western Australia was attacked by emus. They invaded literally every farmer's field and prevented them from farming. It's said that over 20,000 individuals were involved in the raid. The authorities were so desperate to fight these birds that they even decided to attack them with real weapons. Of course, this didn't turn out well because the emus simply broke into small groups and this method was no longer effective. But if people don't use weapons, how can we defeat these impudent birds? After all, if one corners them, they become real monsters, fighting until their last breath. An emu starts kicking with its big three-toed feet, and there's nothing a human can do about it. The attacks are too powerful to resist. Thus, catching up with them or running away from them is also unrealistic for people. These sprinters can reach speeds of up to 31 miles per hour. Although I would still call the peregrine falcon the real racer of the world of birds. Having a modest size for a bird of prey, this representative of the falcon's family has great physical strength, agility, and grip. Often a prey of this hunter surpasses it in size. Without exaggeration, this bird is unique at least because it's capable of speeding up to 200 miles per hour. And according to some reports, its speed limit is 242 miles per hour. Here's an interesting fact. Peregrine falcons have long been used by humans as a domesticated warrior capable of hunting game. Even a sport was invented for this skillful feathered creature. It's called falconry, and the peregrine falcon has no equal in it. Harpy eagle. The American harpy eagle is so peculiar that, on the one hand, it looks like a human in a bird costume. But on the other hand, the feathered creature looks like some mutant from Area 51. The main thing is not to focus too much on its appearance. Otherwise, you can forget that the bird is in fact predatory and very dangerous. The harpy eagle can have a wingspan of 6.5 feet. It mainly feeds on sloths, monkeys, and other big representatives of the fauna. That's all, guys. Which birds seem the most dangerous to you? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.